There you go. Recording started. Okay. So I hope you have some pen, pencil, paper, notebook with you, just to kind of scribble a little things. If you don't have, you can also use your device to, you can just open up something and make a small note there. Uh, so let's start. I want to straight away start with you thinking of a fear that you have, and just write it down on a piece of paper. Any one fear that you have. Don't have fear for somebody else. Don't, but fear for yourself that you have. It could be something very simple, fear of dark, fear of death, fear of whatever, deep water, fear of heights, fear of flying, fear of whatever, fear of cockroaches, lizards, whatever. Right? Don't start saying fear of my child's failure and all that. Don't bring your child into this whole equation. Your own fear, very personal fear. Um, right. So let's just start by um, on a piece of paper. Devyani is saying that she doesn't have any right now. That's fine. If you don't have any fear, fair enough. I don't think you don't even need to do the session. um, okay, so don't write in the chat window, please. Just write it on a piece of paper somewhere. Um, the idea is not to share your fear with others, but the idea is to put down. So maybe Devyani can write that I have fear that I don't have any fear. That's a legitimate fear of not having a fear. Do write that down. I'm saying it's a legitimate fear. Check me out. Um, if you have, very quickly, if you have tried some things to overcome that in whatever, in the previous so many years that you have lived, so you can just make a quick note of it, couple of things that you have, tried to do about it. If at all, I'm not saying you would have done. Some people might not have just done anything about it, and that's fine also. But the idea is just to put this down. So this is a kind of a starting point. We're kind of marking our 0, 0 by putting down our own fears. And the idea is also that as we discuss various aspects of fear, you can keep your own fear in context. Yeah, that's interesting because let's not straight away start thinking about children. Let's kind of think about ourselves first. Yeah. So at least I like it that way. So yeah. Yeah, so you're kind of with me. This should have been simple. Write down a fear of yours, couple of strategies that you've tried to overcome it. Yeah, and just put that aside for now. Okay. Just give me one moment. I'll remove this, yeah, music sign. Okay. So where I want to now move to is, let's assume that you are with your child or any child, and the child is saying, I am scared. That's what the child is saying. And the child could be scared of, again, anything. The child could be scared of darkness, scared of exams, scared of going on a stage, scared of heights, scared of depths, scared of people. So the child could be scared of anything, but the child is saying to you, I'm scared. And let's also assume you know what the child is talking about, as in which scare is he talking about. So it's not that you need to ask the child, what are you scared of? You already know that this is what the child is scared of. The child is just expressing that right now he's scared of whatever is that, XYZ. In which case, what would be your normal response? What would be your typical response if the child is saying this to you? And if you're just assuming your child, whatever age is your child, if you want to just assume a normal, neutral child, not necessarily your child, you can just assume any age. Let's say a 10-year-old or a 5-year-old, whatever age is saying this. What would be your response? Just put your response in the chat window. And also, kind of, let's assume this isn't really the first time uh, that the child has expressed this. So you've been with this journey of child saying I'm scared for, let's say, 50 times or 30 times. Okay, we've got don't worry, it will go away soon, be strong, let's get it done together. Okay, then there is I was also scared. Somebody saying it's okay, listen till the child shares, give some reasoning, assurance, say I'm there. Okay, we're saying nothing to worry. Mhm. So Amit is putting in कुछ नहीं होगा तो लड़के grow up now. Yeah, that's a very interesting response many of us there's. I'm sure Amit is not just putting his response, he's putting responses he sees around him. Okay, Prashant wants to talk about how I was scared when I was small. Mhm. And as I said, just think of it that way. That this isn't the first time that this thing has been talked about. The child is saying this for the nth time. So it isn't that we need to, you know, it's not the first occasion. Okay. Times the darkness can be scary. Let's see what we can do. And the other thing that I would like you to do is whatever you are saying to the child, I also want you to think where is this coming from? As in, what is the uh, let's say the desire or the agenda or the thought process behind this? Why are we saying what we are saying? Okay, somebody's saying to make him overcome the fear. And if I may ask you, why do you want him to overcome the fear? Uh, yes, Sujay, but the interesting part is I'm sure Amit has purposefully put that. I'm not even sure if he says it, knowing him well for many years. But it is something that is so commonly used for boys. Uh, and yes, I know it is like that, but that's how people use it. It's funny. Um, Neelam is saying, I've drilled in her mind that all feelings are okay. Sorry. Okay. So, yeah, so some of you said that you wanted also the child to kind of uh, overcome the fear. Yeah, you are a brave boy. Amit's continuing with all those, the ones that he hears from all around him. Yeah. Hypnotherapy needed. Yeah. The intent is to get on with the task. Okay. Um, So let's just take any one of them. Let's say the common response that it's nothing, it's okay, it's just a small thing. There's nothing to be fearful of. Yeah. Um, let me spend a few minutes with this kind of a response. Um, when we say something like that, yeah, um, what happens? What is happening here? Yeah, well, I just want you to think about it. That uh, uh, when we are saying there is nothing to be scared about, what are we doing? What are we doing? We, we are with our own kind of agenda. When you say that I am with this, I want him to get rid of the fear. Yeah, that's interesting. Or I want him to get on with the task. So either you're saying, okay, let me put that down. Um that we want to get rid of the fear. Just one moment. Yeah, get rid of it. Or somebody said, get on with the task, assuming the child is obviously not doing something or is incapacitated because of the fear. So yeah, so we are saying whatever we are saying to get rid of it, get on with the task. But what is this doing when we are um, yeah, so what's coming to my mind, the first thing is that when we are saying something like this, there's nothing to feel bad about, there's nothing to worry about. Uh, yeah, I think one is we are not with the child. Yes, we are not, definitely not with the child. Uh, Interestingly, we are not even with the child's fear. What do you say? So one, we are not with the child. And we aren't even with the fear, we are with something else, the ridding of it, or the task that we want to move on to, or whatever. We are somewhere else, or rather we are with ourselves, whatever is our agenda. So we are neither with the child nor with the fear, and we are with our own agenda or our own desires or our own wishes, and so on. Yeah, and that is strange, because if we are neither with the child nor with the child's fear, then how are we ever going to help the child do any of those things which he can do to, let's assume, to get over it, if that's what we want. So we are with the getting over rather than being with the child or with the task, with the fear. I'm trying to understand what Bijal is saying. Okay. So are you saying that you bring up this story, and then again the question is, why do you want to say all that? What's the idea behind all of that? So and I think that's very important, because when we meet somebody with fear, uh, we are typically driving our own agenda, which is maybe to get on with the task, or to get rid of the fear, or maybe something else. Maybe to make the child confident, like we're talking about yesterday. I want to see the child as a confident person rather than a scared person. Yeah, see my child as fearless. Yes, Julie, uh, that could be one. So um, yeah, see the child as fearless. So yeah, but as I said, I'm there where some of you did talk about, being with the child, just acknowledging, just staying with the child. That can we, or is it important? Let's put it this way: is it important to be either with the child or with the fear, and if possible, with both of them? Yeah, with the child and with the fear. Uh, Somebody asked at the beginning that is our fears bad? Well, I don't know personally whether fears are good or bad, but I think it's not even important for uh, um, I don't even think it's important to think of them whether they are good or bad. They're there. It's like saying, is day good or a night good, or which one is better? It's there. It's for us to now see how we live in it, rather than saying how whether they are good or bad. Um, it's just that, yeah, the day and night is possibly similar for most of us, but the fears are also similar in many different ways. But they might be the context of the fears might be different. Somebody is fearful of cockroaches, and somebody is fearful of, let's say, height or speed or whatever. Okay, let's see what Shivapriya is saying. If not explaining him, he might stick on to it. Okay, can I invite you on mic? Um, Shivapriya Ganesh, yeah. Can I invite you on mic? Can you unmute and tell me what's on your mind? Okay, I think
Hello, sir.
yes.
Ah, my children usually will be fearing about those ghosts and those things only.
Okay,
I'll be explaining them that um, if somebody, all the ghosts are getting tit for tat only because they had done wrong to them. So you're not doing nothing wrong to, yeah, anybody else. Then why do you fear? In that way, I'll make them explain.
but why
Uh,
would you explain to them? What is your
That's what
reason to
they
explain?
will not be aware. No, and every day, whenever they go in darkness, they might feel they are seeing the ghost.
Sure.
The
But,
ghost
but
is
why? Sorry, but I still didn't get my answer. Why are you
uh,
explaining to them?
why?
Yeah. Why are you saying whatever you say to them, the story about whatever the ghost and all that? Why are you saying that? What's the
Mm, to to come out of the fear.
to make them come out of their fear?
Yeah, of
To,
course.
to get the children to
And
come out of
those
the
are
fear.
useless. Those fears are nothing to make them aware.
Uh-huh. And you want to make them aware so that they come out of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't
And
know.
why
For
do you
I,
want them
it's
to come
okay.
out of it?
Um, it's again confidence.
Is it that coming out of fear will give them? Okay, we'll come to the confidence bit in a little while. I don't want to get into it right now. So we will bring
Okay.
up the confidence in some time. But I just want you to go back and say, so you have an agenda that you want them to come out of the fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the process, let's see what are we doing. We are getting into explaining to them whatever we think about the fear. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about the child? As I say, to me, the child, whatever he or she is feeling, okay, what about that? What happens to
Oh,
that? Who will connect with that? Are we connecting to what the child is feeling, or are we connecting to what is our agenda or what is our desire?
okay.
See, the child is feeling something.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
usually
child.
whenever see they are going to see the pictures like that of ghost, they'll be
Sure,
bringing a pillow with them.
sure,
They say
whatever. But the
the
other
pillow will
feeling,
take care of our fears.
yeah. So they are feeling something. They are feeling scared.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They are
Uh,
feeling scared.
but are we with their scare, or are we with our agenda of getting rid of the scare?
getting rid of the scare.
So in a way, we are leaving the child alone. We are saying, you kind of continue to feel what you're feeling. I don't care. I want to get rid of it. But that's funny. If I'm
Oh,
feeling something, isn't that feeling
yeah,
right now the biggest thing in me?
yeah,
And if that is the biggest thing in me, then why is others, let's say you, if I'm the child, so and you are the mom, why are you talking about something else? The feeling is right now
okay,
most important. See, you can give whatever theory you want to give about it, but I'm feeling it. Feeling it is
yeah,
different from the what, let's call it, the intellectual talk about it. It's like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like it's like if I'm eating a chocolate, you can keep on talking about the chocolate, but the real feeling of enjoying the chocolate is only mine.
yeah.
Yeah,
You're
you can
right.
talk about it, but
Yeah,
talking will not do anything. It's the feeling of having a chocolate is I'm only feeling it. You can't feel it. You can talk about chocolates, whatever you want to talk about. In the same way, when I am feeling the fear, if you're gonna talk about it, then you can just keep talking about it. It's still an intellectual talk. It's not connected with me. In fact, it's not even connected with my feeling, which is the scared feeling. You are talking about something else. I am in my fear. So the question
yeah,
that
great.
I want you to think about is, why are we doing it? Are we really trying to get rid of it, or are we in some way possibly ending up only reinforcing it? Or even if we are not reinforcing it, is it in some way disconnecting with the child? Even if I have a very good, nice, clean, logical explanation, but if I'm not connected with the child, how will the child even receive my explanation?
Yeah, of course. You're right.
So what
Yeah,
I'm trying to propose is that can we just stop for a moment and say, hey, there are two things here. There is this child of mine, and there is a fear that the child is. Can I be can I be with them for some time? Both of them.
yeah,
And which in turn means, can I accept it? Because the explaining is very tricky.
yeah, of course.
Okay. Amit, Amit is saying it is my moral responsibility. Yes, 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 Amit. It is definitely your moral responsibility, uh, and you can fulfill it later. Right now, let us see what is the child's need. So let's see, whom are we with? Are we with Amit's moral responsibility, or are we with Amit's you know uh, care for whatever the child is going through? You know what I mean? So we tend to operate from this moral responsibility. Um, but more important than moral responsibility, isn't it also our role to connect to understand the child and how they overcome? Yeah, we'll figure that out in a little while. Let's park that aside for some time. So Fatima is asking, what is the connect here? Okay, so first of all, I'm saying, what is the disconnect here? Let's start there. So if you are feeling a fear and I'm coming with my own agenda of getting you the rid of it, then that to me is the disconnect first, because you are somewhere else and I'm somewhere else. We are in that sense disconnected. Yeah, let me pull up a slide. I want to share a small story with you. Maybe that will answer uh, Fatima's question. Just give me one moment. Yeah, just one moment. Right. So you want me to elaborate, and I want to elaborate through this story, which some of you have heard before, and for me, it's a personal favorite. This is a story of Mullah Nasaruddin, um, who was searching for something under a street lamp outside his house. So a friend of his came along and asked Mullah, "Hey, what happened? What are you searching for?" So Mullah said, "I dropped a coin, so I'm searching for it." So the friend said, "Very well, I'll help you out. Where did you drop it?" He said, "I dropped it inside the house." So the friend said, "If you dropped it inside the house, why are you searching here?" He said, "Oh, because there is no light inside and there is street light here. So there's light here. That's why I'm searching here." So that's the story. And what it means to me is that the street light to me is the logic, is the explanations. Okay, but the problem is not where the explanation is. The problem is somewhere else, which is dark, which does not have light, and hence any amount of explanation is like trying to search it under the light, but the light is outside. The light is not inside. That area is dark. The fear area is dark. When I'm feeling scared, that area is totally dark. There, no logic enters. So if I'm going to try and connect, or let's say respond to the child, Fatima, by using logic while the child is in the darkness inside, then that's the disconnect. I'm outside, the child is inside. That's the disconnect. But if I can go inside, if I can be with the child's darkness, be with the child's feeling of whatever the child is feeling, and so on, then i'm I'm connecting with the child, in the sense I'm with the child. Okay, if you, even if you don't want to use the word connect, can I be just with the child? Yeah, be with his fear, be with his feeling, at least be with him. If not with his fear, we'll come to the fear also. So one is we can be with him, and one is we can be with his fear. And let's see what will that do to the child. Yes, it can be the presence itself. And presence, I don't mean just the physical presence, not just a hug. I mean the mental presence, the emotional presence. Where am I? Am I with my agenda? Then that's totally different. Or am I with the child's feeling? So somebody said, so what do I do? Should I just say, okay? Yeah, okay is one way of doing it. I'm sure there are many ways of doing it. And I leave that for you to figure out um, how you want to be with the child. I don't think I need to tell you that, because the idea is very simple. When you are scared, what do you want? You want people to tell you there's nothing to be scared. Come on, ladki ho kya? Amidst dialogue. Or do you want the other person to do something? Maybe say, okay, maybe to be with you physically, maybe to listen to you talk about it, or maybe to just come with you if you're feeling scared of, let's say, going something or doing something. Or maybe what do we want? Maybe we just want the other person to let us do the way we want to do, and that includes a lot of not doings. If I don't want to jump into the swimming pool, let me not do it. If I don't want to go into the uh, you know uh, to a height, if I don't want to go near a cockroach or whatever, can I just do what we want to do, and to be okay with that, to be accepting of that. Again, I'm not, yeah, not necessarily it's a matter of being safe with the parents. In certain fears, I may need, the child may want that. The child may say, can I be with you, or can you be with me, let's say, to go to the other room. So in that case, the child is asking for, but let's say something as simple as, I don't want to go onto the stage. I'm fearful of that. And let's say there is some competition or whatever, you want the child to perform on the stage. So when we are accepting of the child, we are saying it's all right to whatever, not go on the stage. And when we are accepting of the fear, we're saying, and it's all right to feel whatever you are feeling. It's all right to be scared, and and let's be with the fear. Okay, so what all are you feeling? In that sense, whatever you are feeling, I'm okay with that. I'm with you. So by with you, I don't mean I don't need to be physically with the child, but I'm with the decision that the child has taken, that I don't want to go to the stage. Or as somebody was saying, is fear of school or system is a fear? Why not? I don't want to give exams. I don't want to go to school. I don't want bullies. I don't want teachers. I don't want classrooms. Whatever. All of those are also fears in some ways. That's very interesting. So, so the two interesting responses. One is Neetu saying, um, what if the child wants it but not willing to work on it? Uh, the way I look at it, let's forget the child for a minute and just think that it is us who does not want to do something. Maybe does not want to do a bungee jumping. Maybe does not want to go flying on a glider. Jump off a cliff on a glider, right? So Neetu, let's say I invite you for a jump off the cliff on a glider, and you say, no, 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 I'm not going to do that, right? But let's say somewhere you see a video and you like it, but the fear is too much. What would you want me to do? You, or do you really want somebody to do something, or you're okay with, yeah, there's a kind of a equation here. The fear is more, there's desire. The desire is, let's say, 10, but the fear is 20. And since the fear seems to be winning over the desire, as of now, that's okay. Isn't it okay? Wouldn't it be okay for you if your fear is more than your desire? At least for now. Maybe a year later, maybe 10 years later, maybe 30 years later, maybe never in your lifetime you would end up doing. But how does that matter? I mean, if you die without doing paragliding, how does that matter? Does it matter? No. Yeah. So that's the first, that's the thought, that that can we first give him or her the acceptance, yeah, and then we will see where to work on, yeah. We'll come a little more, but I want to little more just spend some time on this acceptance bit, because somewhere we are still with our agenda. Okay, the child is suffering because of the fear. If the fear goes away, see, she will achieve this, or this will happen, that will happen. So we are looking at an outcome, and somehow that outcome is far more important than the fear itself, and whatever the child is feeling. So that the desire part, the getting that 10 which is there in the child's mind, is still more important than the 20. Yeah. And yes, if you're saying yes, the child is aware of it, the child, it is limiting my options. See, if I want to do paragliding but I'm afraid to jump off a cliff in it, isn't that limiting me in that sense? Or for that matter, anything. For example, I may just need to go and propose to a girl, right? And that's going to limit me, because if I'm scared of rejection, then I'm not going to propose to her, and then I'm obviously limiting myself. Or any other example that you want to take. So it's not that I'm not saying it's limiting, but I'm saying, can we start with accepting that yes, right now I'm scared, I have this fear, and it's all right to have it. The thing is, what do you think will help the child overcome? You wanting it so badly that the child come out of it, or you completely accepting of the child's fear? Which one will help the child? Or rather, which one will help you, let's say, if you are in a fear? Let me give you a small story, a small example actually, which happened last year, and then I'll give you an example which happened very recently. Some of both of them are to do with. Okay, let me tell you the one which recently happened. Um, so we went in December first week. We went surfing. Yeah, surfing is you know the surfboard and you ride the waves, right? So I had never surfed before, and the seven kids that went with me to surf had also not surfed before, and I'm assuming a lot of you have never surfed before. So we are pretty much all in the same. So you can relate to this fear because if I talk about something just a dark and coast, since you don't have that fear, it would be very easy. Now, if you haven't surfed ever before, the interest. So how this is how surfing works. You know, you are lying on the surfboard, and when you're lying on the surfboard, everything is nice and everything is cool, and there is no problem. Um, um, and then when the wave comes and the board starts moving, okay, or rather you also paddle and make the board move, then so now the board is moving and moving with the wave, okay, and that's when you have to jump up and stand on the board. That's obviously the obvious fear is there that I will fall, right? And which is why it's difficult to from a lying down supine position to in one jerk jump up and stand. A lot of people just don't are not just able to jump up, you know, they just or they're not able to leave the board, in the sense their hands are still clutching the board while actually you're supposed to leave your hands and just stand on it, yeah, like as if you're standing on the ground, but on the ground it's very easy. Okay, so that's the background. So I don't know how many of you know surfing, but assuming that very few of you know, then you can be with me and understand that this is scary, right? You are in the sea, and and yeah, typically not wearing. Uh, Forget the life jacket. That's not important. What's important is that you're in the sea, and the wave comes, and the wave takes you, and the board is moving at a speed, and you got to stand on it. So okay, so there we were. We were all trying to learn this surfing, and there was this one child who's very athletic otherwise, who plays lots of sports and who's very good at sports in most sports. And he would just not leave the board. He would like clutch the board. And you know, for the first day, it just kept on happening. He would continue to do that, and actually, none of us really did anything about it. Uh, Nobody said anything to him. And then in the evening, we were chit chatting, and I asked him, "So, how was the day one?" He said, I'm very scared." I said, "Interesting that you are scared and you are aware of your scare and you're ready to acknowledge it." I didn't say all of that. I just thought of all of that, and then he said that I don't know what to do tomorrow. So I said, "Okay, we'll see what happens tomorrow." The next day, you know, the same thing happened. He was still clutching onto the board every time we went inside. And I said after some time that would you like to uh, leave your hands and stand on the board? So he said, "I'm trying." I said, "Okay." Um, this went on for some time, and then I came to him and I said that, "Do you like the fear that you have?" He says, "No." I said, "That's the problem. You know, you're not liking it. You're not embracing it. You're not enjoying the fear. So the next time when you're clutching onto the board, don't curse the fear. Enjoy the fear, man. You have a nice fear, right? It's a fear that's keeping you safe. At least see you haven't fallen even once. So so enjoy the fear." Um, so he kind of did one trip, and he said, "Oh, what kind of thing is that?" I said, "Did you kiss the fear?" He said, "No." I said, "Did you embrace it? Did you hug it?" He said, "No." And and then he did another round, and I asked him again the same thing. I said, "So how was it? Did you enjoy the fear?" And somewhere he said, "No." A third or fourth time he said, "Yes, I'm starting to enjoy my fear." I said, "Okay, so then now you are with your fear. Now let's see how things go. And now continue, enjoy." Right? And very soon, I think another 3 or 4 rides, and he was up and about, jumping on the board. Um, the to me the essence of this story is not so much what I did. That's to me immaterial. All those dialogue bachi that I did with him. But what is most important is that I was in complete acceptance of his fear. There was no desire. I was the only adult with these kids. There was no desire for from me any which way, not even deep inside. I'm not talking about saying to him, but deep inside there was no desire that he should come out of the fear. Now, what does that acceptance do? I don't know. Manoj is saying that if I accept the child's fear, the child will be more fearful. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if it works that way. Um, why would the child be more fearful if I accept the child fear? Please realize accepting is not the same as agreeing. I'm not saying that, neither I'm not saying you cannot do it, nor I'm saying yes, ghosts are there. You know what I mean? I'm not agreeing to the fear. I'm only accepting it. I'm saying you are fearful and it's all right to be fearful. You are scared and it's all right to be scared. That's what I'm saying. If I start agreeing with the child's fear, then I'm trying to say that increase the fear. It's actually good in that sense. It's like saying yes, yes, I'm also fearful. Let's all fearful go to the fear. But I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's all right to have the fear that you want, that you have. Now it's your own desire which will bail you out, which will help you to come out of it as and when you are wanting to do it. So I'm not sure uh, if if I'm in agreement with that thought that that accepting will make the child more fearful. It can. I'm not trying to say that it will not. Maybe in the short term it will. Maybe it can in some situation. Uh, but I'm saying in general, when I give somebody a space of acceptance, then as some of you are saying, as Nandita is saying, the child can explore, the child can do things. Right, which is what um, I'm kind of in agreement with what Neetu is saying that often we start doing all of this. We start comparing, we start questioning, we start uh, kind of giving all kinds of uh, uh, reasons for not to have fear. Okay, what is Sonal saying? How do we differentiate between acceptance and agreement? Oh, how do you different? Why do you need to differentiate between the two? You need to accept something. No? See, it's like this. Especially when you are not fearful and somebody else is fearful. Let's assume Sonali that you are fearful of let's say cockroaches, or I don't know. What are you fearful of? Tell me something that you are fearful of. Yeah, tell me something that you are fearful of, if at all you are fearful of something. Okay, okay, failure. Okay. So let's say you are fearful of failure, and let's assume I am not fearful of failure. Then can I agree with you? No, I cannot agree with you. How can I agree with you? Because I myself am not fearful of failure, while you are scared of failures. Then how can I agree with you? There is no way that I can agree with you. But can I accept you? Yes, you are different. I am different. And it's not even a comparison with me. You are scared of failures, and that's absolutely all right. Yeah. So I am accepting. In fact, in most cases, when we do not have the same fear, we cannot actually agree. We can only accept. And if we are agreeing, then agreeing is a pseudo agreeing, because actually we are not agreeing. Deep down, we don't agree that ghosts are there or whatever is there. Right? We are just saying it for the sake of saying it, which is what Bijal is talking about. Right? So if I'm agreeing that yeah, ghosts could be there, then I'm possibly doing it. Uh, it's just a lip service that I'm doing. I'm not even being genuine. And in fact, if I actually agree that ghosts are there, then I'm actually as fearful as the child is. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been there. Okay. Okay. Let's take one comment at a time. So Neetu is saying, uh, okay. So let's Neetu, this acceptance that we are offering is uh, is not to make a difference in the fear. Uh, Let me see how I can put it. uh, to me it is fundamental. To me it's like saying, would I like people to accept me? Yes, whether I come out of the fear or not, that is irrespective of it. So let's put it this way, Neetu. If you are fearful of something, anything, and let us say, uh, I say to you, okay, you are fearful of, let's say, XYZ, right? Now you know that I am accepting of your fear, right? Now I'm saying, let's say you don't come out of fear. So in that sense, it is not helpful. But the acceptance isn't about helping you. The acceptance is like a fundamental. It's like an air to breathe. Unless I give you that, what else will how else will it work? Are you getting me? So acceptance is not trying to acceptance is not a solution, or acceptance is not a method or a technique which will help the child to come out. So parental acceptance is not a guarantee, is not even an attempt to help the child come out of the fear. Parental acceptance is acceptance, or anybody accepting is acceptance, and acceptance is not for any result but is for acceptance. It's like saying, if my fear is not even accepted by you, why do I even bother about you? uh, yeah, maybe Sangeeta, it will not do further damage. I'm just trying to see how I put this across, meaning the importance of acceptance. uh, I think you will have to just yes, we can be so acceptance will do a lot of things. It will relax you, it will relax maybe the child, it will create an environment. But if you are doing all of this to still get a result, then you are not accepting in the real sense. It's it's about it's to be all right. So what if the child doesn't come out of the fear? Big deal. Yeah, I like that, Prashant. Acceptance is like hope. I come back to my hope. It is the most comfortable, relaxed, peaceful space that I want. And let us say, Neetu, that forever in my life I don't come out of the fear, even if my parents have given me that full acceptance. How does that matter that I didn't come out of the fear? What mattered was that I got accepted as who I am with my fears. When Akila, you call it unconditional acceptance or acceptance, it's the same thing. Meaning, I don't know any other what kind of an acceptance is a conditional acceptance. So, we really need the word unconditional? Maybe if you want, if that brings clarity, definitely. I'm not even sure if acceptance says I understand. Acceptance just says you are accepted. I don't even need to understand. You know what I mean? I understand it's a lot of things. It's a lot of hard work to understand somebody's fear. Oh God, that's a very, very, it's a big job. So I see. So on one side, I'm talking about what would I want, right? What would I want? Do I want people to give me acceptance, or do I want people to get on and and keep on wanting that I should come out of my fears? Let's say. I don't know, Amit, what kind of parents we would be, but I would know what kind of a child it would be if the child is accepted. Supriya, if you say isn't coming out more important, I'm saying to whom? Is it to you more important or is it to the child? The day it is more important to the child will come out of it. Maybe the child will need help. We'll come to that little later. But the child can come out of it if it is more important to the child, more important than the fear itself. But right now, it seems to me that it's more important to us, let's say the parents. And that's where Amit is asking, what kind of parent you are? You don't even want your child to come out of the fear. I'll say, so what? Okay, somebody sometime back, I've been trying to keep track of the chat sets. That's uh, one is that what if it's a very strong fear or something like that? I'm not remembering the text. What if it's a big fear or something like that? Sorry, just give me a moment. I'm just scrolling up again. Uh, okay, and another thought somebody said that how can fears be positive if they cripple your life? Okay, so I think uh, Selena has a interesting thought here that at least it gives them the safety that the I don't have a performance pressure from my parents. I don't have to go there, you know, where the society expects me to be, and the society obviously starts with the parents. Yeah, Priya. So let's maybe I'll invite you on mic. So for there, I see I somewhere see two thoughts. One is maybe I've been taking examples of small fears. Maybe you have bigger fears in your mind as examples, so we can talk about that. And the second is that if it's crippling for life, how's that good? Um, I am so maybe you need to come on the mic, then I can understand what is your discomfort. So which one you wanted? Did you also talk about the fear being something much more than the kind of examples that we have taken? Maybe you just take an example.
Yeah, see, my take on this is not, for example, it's the fear of God. If a
Sorry,
child has got fear
you'll
of
have to be a
dark,
little louder, dear.
if the child has got a fear of, can you hear me?
Yeah. So child has got
Suppose he's got a fear of
fear of dark.
darkness. No.
Okay.
So then how do we, I mean, we just accept it and then what do we do it? If it grows as it grows bigger, then
Let it
what's
be.
the solution?
Why? First of all, why do you need a solution?
Can you please repeat it?
I'm saying, why do you need a solution? In the example that you give, so what? Let's say if I whole of my life is afraid of dark, how would that matter? Which means
Well, isn't
I
it
will prefer to stay wherever there is light. I will not really go inside the dark, and I will not go for night treks and all kinds of interesting things. But I will live my life and I'll have my own interests. So how does it matter?
will I switch on the light everywhere and go to sleep at night?
Why not? What's so wrong? May I'm possibly running up a slightly higher bill. Apart from that, what's the disadvantage that you see? Just in case, I'm saying, just in case I do not come out of this fear of darkness, How does that matter?
But why do I have to live?
No, no, I'm not trying to say why do I have to live. I'm saying if I want to live,
I don't know how to answer that.
I'll tell you why I'm pushing on this. Because if you allow me to say, okay, I can live with this, there is absolutely no problem, that releases so much from me. That gives me this acceptance, as somebody else also said, makes it so much more easier for me to live. Now, whether that will take the fear out or not is still, I'm not getting into that debate.
Hmm.
But what it does to me makes my life a beauty. Isn't that? Isn't that more important? Are we trying to say that we should do away with all the fears in our life and only then our life is worthwhile living? No, I don't like that thought at all. I can live with fears. So what? Big deal.
Hmm.
All of us adults, I'm not saying all, okay, many of us as adults would have some fear or the other. How does it matter? Why do we need to throw it out? Well, what matters is whether we are at peace with it, peace with the fact that I have to fear. So what if I'm fearful of dark or cockroach or snakes or whatever I'm afraid of? I don't know if that makes any sense. To me, it's this acceptance thing is so big. Meaning I can literally spend the whole 2 hours just talking about that and not jump onto any strategy whatsoever. Okay, Amit is saying how to accept child suffering in front of us. Well, why is the child suffering? Is the child suffering because of the fear, or is the child suffering because his fear is not accepted? Neetu, it's not so much, I think it's not so much of our fear, it's more of somewhere we want idealness in everything, somewhere we want perfection in everything, somewhere we want everything, desirable for the child. You know, it's like you should not have any problems, you should not have any friction, your schooling should be smooth, your college should be smooth, your job should be smooth, your wife or husband should be smooth. We want everything to be like, I don't know why we want that, while we very much know that it is the fun is in the roller coaster aspect of life. Now, it is that desire that I want everything nice, nice, nice for my child, that is wanting me to get the child, you know, get out of it. So I'm so much with the getting out of it that I'm struggling with it. Which is where I'm saying, have I even completely, totally accepted the fear or the child? So we start thinking, oh, if the child lives with this fear, as you said, crippling, is the fear crippling, or is my thought that I have this fear is that crippling? What is more crippling, the fear itself or the unacceptance of the fear? And as many of you have written in the chat window, that unacceptance keeps on boiling inside me. But let me bring this confidence bit also, connecting with the yesterday's session. Some of you were there. One of the thoughts that I have is that you know this Mountain Dew advertisement which says which says "Dar ke aage jeet hai." Uh, I'm obviously in complete disagreement with that. Uh, to me, let's say, so I'm let me come with my own example. I'm one of the guys who do a lot of adventure sports. I do, you can name it literally, I do everything. I do flying, I do deep sea diving, I do lots of obviously trekking, mountaineering, lots of stuff, rappelling, all kinds of adventure sports. And imagine in any of these adventure sports, if there was no fear. If there was no fear, then there will be no fun of doing it. What does that mean? To me, it isn't that I win the fear. I don't think. I don't even want to win that fear. It is that I enjoy the fear. I embrace the fear. I'm with the fear, which is where I don't need to be confident. Yeah, no fear, no adventure. In the sense, no fear, no fun. And when we start understanding that, then we don't need to be confident. It's when we want to win over fear, then everybody says you need to be confident. You need to look at yourself. You're so nervous. No, you need to be confident. Nothing will happen to you. Well, how can that be fun? Well, when it can be fun, when I know things can happen to me, and I still am going with it. I'm saying, yeah, I know things can happen. I know I can make a fool of myself in front of people when I talk. Let's say right now, I'm talking to so many of you, about 49 of them. 49, 49 of us, sorry. Now, do you think I don't have fear? I don't have fear that you will say, Kya bakwas kar raha hai? Maybe I have fear. But how does it matter? If I embrace the fear, if I enjoy the fear, if I'm with the fear, then I don't need to be confident. Because when I have fear, then I need confidence. If fear kind of calls out that, okay, now let's be confident about it. That's what everybody else says. But what if I understand my fear? What if I hug my fear? What if I just be with my fear? I don't have to eradicate it. I don't have to eliminate it. I just need to accept it or enjoy it. Then I don't need to be anything else. Then I am just myself. I'm with the fear. And then I want to see whatever I want to do. Then I can decide what I want to do, how much ever I want to do. So it, to me, the fear doesn't need confidence. Fear feeds fe- fear feeds confidence. Fear demands confidence, which is why the confidence is not what we should want. See, if you're, as I was giving the example in yesterday's session, you're sitting at your home right now. Yeah. Aram, say you are attending this session. You don't have any fear as such, meaning you may have other fears or anxieties. I'm not talking about that. In general, are you fearful right now? No. Do you need confidence right now? No, you don't need. Right. Now, suddenly, somebody from the outside cries out, fire, fire, fire. Let's say that's a genuine call. Right. Now there is fear. Now, do you need confidence? You see the problem? The problem is that fear is demanding confidence. And why is it demanding confidence? Not that fear needs confidence, it is demanding confidence because that's the kind of picture that has been painted. Parents have said that, adults have said that, advertisements have said that, everybody has said that. Conquer your fear. Dar ke aage jeet hai. But why do I need to conquer it? If I have to conquer it, then I have to get into all of this. Precisely, Suparna. Why do I need to go ahead of the fear? Why can't I be with the fear? I'm not so sure it means to say that it, I have a problem in it saying that the win lies beyond fear. To me, the win lies with the fear. And if one freezes with fear, example of fire, then one would need to understand the fear. Let's understand our fear rather than trying to build something called as confidence or trying to build some win out of it. And to understand it, I need to start thinking about it. What makes me fearful? This may happen. That may happen. Right? I can start understanding what is making, and that understanding can only happen if I have first accepted my fear. If I haven't accepted it, then I am constantly, oh, but I need to overcome it. If I need to overcome it, I need to have confidence. If I need to have confidence, I need to win. I need to, so all of these are kind of related. When I'm still with this advertisement, this dar ke aage jeete, or there is win beyond fear. I'm saying, what message is that giving to us? That if I do not overcome fear, I haven't won. That to me is a crippling way of looking at my life, isn't it? But the advertisement is saying, if you do not win if you do not go beyond your fear, which means crush your fear, conquer your fear, go beyond your fear, you will not find the victory. But that's not true. I don't even need that kind of victory. Who wants that kind of victory? Why can't I have, even when I'm with my fear, I'm victorious? Now that is a victory for me. I don't have to win. That is my problem with confidence. That is my problem with victory. That is my problem with how the fears have been, picturized as unacceptable. The fear itself is unacceptable. How can you have fear, beta? Yes, Prashant, win through fear, win with fear, win irrespective of fear, win fearfully. Why not all of those? And any other word that you can think of. Absolutely. I mean, that is my problem with this advertisement. And not just this advertisement, this whole thing about that you need to be confident, because that's trying to say that you need to win your fear. But why do I need to be confident? Why can't I just understand my fear, see its place, see its importance? What is it trying to tell me? What is it that I need to take care? How do I work through it? What all resources do I need? What all ideas do you need? What all preparation do I need? And so on. For example, somebody was saying, what if I freezes when there is fire? To me, you will freeze when there is fire because you've not practiced the joy of fear. You've not practiced being with the fear because because we haven't, let's say, prepared ourselves for fire. Let's say, for example. But if you have prepared yourself for fire, then you will not freeze. And then I give you an example that happened last week, which I was sharing with some other people in another session. Uh, that we live in a campus in a village. Many of you have been to the campus, so you know what I'm talking about. There was the back mountain side behind us, because these are the dry months. The whole mountain was on fire. The hill, actually, not mountain. The hill was on fire. And I had about 16 children here, ranging from 6 years to I think the oldest was, let's say, 14. And all of them, all of them went and helped, or not helped, let's say we all, three adults and, okay, four adults actually, four adults and 16 children all together fought the fire and brought it in control, and nothing got damaged, that the fire could not enter the campus, and it was over 100 feet of forest fire. Now, I'm not saying that these children won over the fear. There was no need to do that. Yes, there was a need to prepare for it. We were prepared for it. We practiced it. Yes, we practiced it. We talked about it. Yes, we talked about it. But more importantly, we were with the fear. At no point we said, don't be afraid of fire. In fact, if anything, I'll keep on telling the children, be afraid of fire. It's not something to get confident about. You know what I mean? So, Priya, if you fear flying and you accept and understand it, that's it. Don't fly. Is that fair enough? And then you will say, no, 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 but I want to fly. And when your wanting is more than the fear of the flying, you will automatically do that. But you will do that when you are comfortable with the fear itself. Now you are comfortable when I say, okay, you don't have to fly anymore. You accept it. I don't know whether you understand it, but at least you accept it. And once you have accepted it, you are not going to fly. Till such time that your desire to fly is more than your fear of flying. And that may never happen in your life. And isn't that all right? Okay. Um, Neetu, maybe you come on mic. What do you mean by in competitive sports? Uh, how does it matter? Meaning, in competitive sports. So what if I have a fear of failure? So what if I lose? So if I have a fear of failure, I let's say don't participate. I don't go to play. Yeah, I will lose. So is that okay? Or is that not okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, your mic voice is a little breaking. If you're saying that if this fear is stopping me from playing, or at least is even let's say it's not even stopping me from playing, but it's not letting me play at my full potential, then how does that matter? Oh, and Sangeeta has an interesting point. She's saying it's absolutely necessary. So I think Sangeeta has done the job for me. At some point, to some extent, it will pull you back, and at some point, it will push you forward. Right? This fear will. That's where I was saying of the flying example that Priya had thrown. That after I have accepted it, either it will push you forward because your desire is more, or if your fear is more, it will pull you back. But I'm still there. How does it matter? Right. It matters to the child. Yes, Neetu, it makes sense. If I am fearful of failure and it is mattering to the child, yes, it matters. So I'm not saying that there are no strategies to understand fear. Yes, it matters. It definitely matters. So I'm not trying to say that it doesn't matter. In the sense that yeah, in the larger picture, it doesn't matter, right? But at that time, yes, for the child it matters, and the child is struggling with the fear. However, I'm we are still at the confidence part, or sorry, the acceptance part of our session. We've spent almost hour and a half, and we are still talking about acceptance because I think somewhere that that thing that getting the child out of that fear is is kind of not letting us accept it, and is not letting the child accept it. And I'm just saying it's almost like a fundament. It's like a given that that is something that would really make a difference. Are you with me, Neetu? So, so let me kind of sum it up in some way. Is that uh, the the fear that we have? Let's say if I have the fear and I'm struggling with that fear, but if I'm only struggling with the fear and not the non-acceptance of it, then I have only one thing to deal with, which is the fear itself. Yeah. And I'm not saying that we cannot deal with it. There are many ways of doing it. Yeah. But at least now I have to only deal with that and not deal with everything else. How about if we take fear out of the equation? Yes, but who will take that fear out of the equation? Can somebody else take that fear out of the equation? No, I might be able to do that. I might be able to understand and deal with my fear, or uh, you know, even if you want to call it conquering my fear or whatever, so well. Even the topmost guy, even the one who has won the world championship 7 times, even then that person, even even a champion when he goes out, I'm sure a Sachin Tendulkar when he goes out to bat, or anybody else, even when he goes out to bat the 100th time and he's the best in the field, even then he's fearful of failure. I don't think there is the fear is ever out of the equation. It is, as somebody else said, it is now working for Sachin, or working for the champion, because it's now helping the champion focus. It's helping the champion win. It's helping the champion do even better. So it's not that I want to take it out of the equation. It's just that I want to understand it. But before I get to understand it or deal with it or work with it or enjoy it or embrace it or hug it, I need to accept everything else. So, so in a way, Neetu, I would say to the child, uh, partly, I would say to the child that even if you live with this fear for your whole life, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the sense, not it doesn't matter to me or to you, that it's all right. It's not that you have to overcome the fear, but what you have to do is accept that that's part of your life and embrace it and hug it. You know, we are always fighting against the fear, which only increases the fear, which is what I told the child on the surfboard, that I wish he was here to tell his story from his perspective. But now he grins at me whenever I talk about hugging and kissing the fear. You know, it's so interesting. So when I'm now with the fear, then it becomes my ally, it becomes my partner. It becomes what people call a source of courage. Okay, so we have spent a lot of time on this, but perhaps that is, as I said, that is far more important than everything else in the presentation. Okay, so let me little move ahead. Let me also a little mention, at least a lot of parents do this, a lot of adults do this, is to use fear of failure. In fact, last year I had gone for a course of to Gulmarg in Jammu Kashmir for a course of skiing, and I was there for about 2 weeks, and every day the instructor there will tell everybody, there was a large group, everybody, that if you don't do skiing properly, you will fail in the exam. And I, I was like every day laughing inside me. Even to learn skiing, which was everybody's passion, everybody had come there to enjoy, to learn skiing. The only method this person can think of is to put fear in of our mind to fail an exam of skiing. Oh, how does it matter if I fail an exam? Right. So it's so funny. We tend to use it so much. We tend to build it so much. Sometimes very consciously, and sometimes very very subconsciously. Sometimes through our body, through our so many other ways we communicate to the children that you know if whatever you don't do this, whatever. So we use the fear card, fear of failure, fear of not reaching to the highest of your life, as if we know what is the highest in our life. Sorry, Pallavi, I'm not sure I understand. You're saying leaving aside or getting rid of the fear seems easier? Really? I thought this was accepting would be much easier. You don't have to deal with it. You have to just accept it and enjoy it. And as I keep saying, hug it, kiss it. So I think many of us may not now use these things like the policeman will take you away and all of those things. Uh, but yeah, we need to be a little cautious as to how we kind of throw this in front of the children, and a lot of times very very subtly. Uh, okay, let's kind of little move ahead, and let's see how we can. Sorry, let me put this slide. Maybe this is the uh, kind of summary uh, of what we talked till now. Um, the key is not to solve, but to kind of dissolve. And as I said, the dissolving starts with accepting and then understanding. Um, Now, this is very interesting. What do we mean by understanding something? Yeah. Uh, One of the things one can say about understanding is when I want to understand something, I kind of talk about it, right? Um, there was this, I was actually doing a session on fear with children, and there was an adult, a guest who had come, and she said, I'm scared of uh, something. Let there's, she was scared of these uh, lightning or so basically a calamity happening, earthquake happening and lightning happening and floods coming in and those kind of things. She said she would dream of them and she wasn't able to come out. And this was an adult who were there at that time. And I said, okay, so let's see if we can understand this. So let's talk about it. Whatever you talk about, everybody talks about earthquakes, everybody talks about floods, everybody talks about this. So we did that. So we spent about half an hour just talking about it. Everybody was talking about it. We were not trying to uh, assuage any fears. We're just talking about it. Then next day I said, let's spend half an hour reading about each one of those. So we read about earthquakes and we read about lightning, and we read about uh, and some of the things we read about were not were scary. Right? So that's okay. Then we said, okay, third day again, let's little explore more. Let's talk to more people. Let's do some interviews. Let's call a few people and find out what do they think about it. What do they think? So I encouraged her to go around, interview different people, different children. So like this, we kind of spent 4 5 days, and by the time it was time for her to go home and as in to leave Aarohi and go where she had come from, and she came to me and she said, Ratnesh, I think I am not now fearful of it. I'm not thinking, I'm not dreaming about, or rather nightmares about it. I think something has settled in. It isn't that I have overcome it, but I have kind of made friends with it. So the whole idea of understanding is to make friends with them. And especially when the child is talking about it, we need not talk positive. That's not the point. Because if you're again trying to build confidence, positivity, all that, to me, the positiveness will automatically attract the negativeness. But we have to not divide the whole thing as positive and negative, but stretch it apart. Not stretch it apart. Rather, just be with it as it is. Whatever are the thoughts, facts, feelings, views, opinions, and so on. Because more often than not, when a child expresses a fear, we start talking about how to remove the fear rather than understanding something. Understanding something is different from removing. If you put a cake in front of me, I want to understand it. Um, Sorry, if, if you put a cake in front of me, I don't want to understand it. I want to eat it. But if you put a fear in front of me, I don't want to eat it. I don't want to swallow it. I don't want to finish it. But I want to understand it. I don't want to read about cakes, but I want to eat cakes. But I want to read about fears, and I want to talk about fears, and I want to enjoy fears. And one of the ways in which we do it is this. Um, Now, be with me for a few minutes while I explain this. So, this is a kind of a little funny format that we have often used to understand fears. So, to make that understanding, we have divided fears into three kinds of fears: fears that are based on my past, fears that are based on future, as an imagination, let's say ghosts. I've never seen a ghost, but I can imagine a ghost and my imagination is good, so I can have creative fears. Worry is another creative fear. Okay. Or I can have a very logical fear. I've experienced something. Let's say I've seen somebody, let's say, get very badly hurt in an accident. Now I'm obviously based on that experience. I am, I'm scared, right, of let's say accidents, which is fine, right? So that's the logical uh, fear. And then there is this fear which is just based on what I'm experiencing right now. If suddenly a large sound, a loud sound comes, or suddenly something happens, then it's happening right now. And because it is happening right now, I'm fearful of it. Not because I have any data on it, not because I'm imagining anything, because it's happening right here, and it's like it's like tearing away my senses in a way. And it's all making me come in a particular emotional state. It's like imagine that you are on a road and suddenly you see some 100 people running towards you. Right now, you haven't really experienced it. You're not even at that moment imagining what will happen. It's just the mere sight of a huge group of people running towards us is scary. Let's say, right? So that's the fear of the present. Any questions on this, or this is fairly intuitive, fairly simple? At least that's how I think. So now, why are we doing this? Is very interesting, right? Uh, One is, as I said, for me to understand a fear, I can this kind of a little pushing it into whether it's a past or present or future fear, or maybe it has a combination of bit of past and 80% past and 20% future, or the other way around. So that's one way for me to kind of little open up my fear and try and understand. Hey, well, this is what is going on in my mind. Now, more interesting, so that's one aspect of it. But even more interesting is what would happen if we start changing. We call it change the tense, as in if somebody is in past, what if we start talking about the future? Or If somebody is in future, what if we talk about past or present? So we change the tense as in, and then we change the tension. Uh, Let me give you one very cute example uh, from my childhood. When I was in my teens, I would go out to my friend places to study. At least that's what I would tell at home, that I'm going to study at my friend's place. And I had some friends at whose home I would go and study, or at least go with the excuse of study. And then what would happen is that invariably I'll come back late. As in, if I've told my mom 7 o'clock, I'll come 8, 9, like that. And my mom would get very uh, tense about it, and she'll be like outside the house, walking up and down, up and down. And obviously, when I come, she'll blast at me, and then she will, kind of make me promise that I'll come on time. But invariably, after 1 or 2 days, I'll again forget the time. Maybe we are doing some fun things, and I'll again come late, and the same story will repeat. So my father has been observing this behavior of my mom. So one day he decided he wants to do something about it. So he came up to my mom and he said, yesterday did he come late? So my mom said, yeah, he came late. So this is when my mom is now already worrying and she's walking outside and I have not come. That's when my dad comes and talks to my mom, and he says, uh, did he come late yesterday? She said, yeah, he came late yesterday. Did anything happen to him? She said, no. Then he said, on Monday he came late? She said, yes. And did anything happen to him? Mother said, no. Because he sensed that the mother is worrying, and worrying is a creative fear. It's imagining you'll meet with an accident. What is she imagining? My father doesn't know what is she imagining, but that's not important. Like that, he took her back to multiple data points. And every time he just asked her, did anything happen to me, as in the son? And every time she just said no. And then he left it there and he just went away. And then my mother realized something. I, and obviously later on she told me this whole thing. And she just went inside. She was suddenly at peace. Not that her worry became zero. That was not the point. But she understood this whole future scenarios that she was building with some light, some understanding from the past. Interesting. So what my father did was he changed the future tense into past tense, or rather, not changed. He brought past tense into a fear or a worry which was right now in a very imaginative phase, and that helped her to understand the fear and maybe make friends with it. And not that she stopped scolding me, but but um, I think she was much more at peace with herself uh, than before. And we can do it the other way around also. If we think that a child has a fear of past or present, then we can base it on. So there was this one child, let me give you another example, who was crying and crying because every other child had gone and he was left alone at our center. This was when our center was in Bangalore. So this one child who is yet to be picked up, everybody else is gone. This child is crying, and his parents have not come to pick up. So what do we do now? Right? So we can obviously tell the child that your parents will come, your parents will come. Now, where do you think is his fear? Is his fear in present? Is it fear in past? Or is his fear in future? Yeah, where do you think his fear is? Okay, cool. So most of you are with me. It isn't so difficult to guess. Yeah, he's probably in present because there is nobody there. Everybody has left. It's like alone kind of thing. So it's a very present kind of a fear. So what I did was, uh, I sat with the child and said, um, when your father, so I started asking him, who would come, your dad or your mom? So he says, mom. I said, okay. How will mom come? She'll come by an auto or a car? He said, obviously car. I said, which car you have? You have whatever, some brand names I threw. So he said, no, this car. I said, which model? He told me the model. I said, okay, so when your mother comes, where will you sit? Okay, will you sit in front with her in the car or backside? He said, front. I said, oh, you don't sit in the backside. I said, front. Will you wear seat belt? Will you not wear seat belt? And so on. what, what was I doing? If you realize, I was painting a picture of future. I was making him imagine what would happen in near future. And did that make him feel better? Well, I guess so. I didn't ask him, but that's what I was doing. I was trying to change him from where he is, what he is feeling now, into future. Now, if you're going to ask me, the next obvious question is, what if I don't know where the child is? I'll say, doesn't matter. Don't do too much analysis. Just shoot things in all the three. In a way, yes, it is diverting. I agree with you. But it's diverting what? It's not, we are not trying to say you don't have to be afraid. We're just trying to see that where are we stuck? Sometimes the fear is where because we are stuck in one time frame. So it's not diverting as in diverting bringing a chocolate. That to me is a diverting. You know what, Aparna? If I bring a chocolate and I say, come, let's eat a chocolate or something, then I'm trying to get him to think about something else. But I'm not taking him away from what he's feeling. But I'm trying to see if we are stuck in a time frame, and bringing other time frames would help the child. What happens, obviously this is based on this assumption that many a times when there is a fear, we are stuck in one time frame. That's an assumption. So there could be chances that there are some fears which are not stuck in any time frame, in which case this wouldn't help, at least not help to solve it, but still can help to understand it, which part is coming from the past, which part I have data about, logical data about, which part is based on my feelings right now, and which part is based on my imagination. Now, this is only helping me kind of thaw out my fears in terms of breaking them into pieces and seeing, hey, does what kind of sense is it making? And there's only one model. I'm sure there can be hundreds of ways of doing it. This is just this time-based thing is just one way of doing it. So I'm not trying to propose this as like a one amazing way of doing it. I'm just trying to propose that we can look at our fear, understand our fear, go through our fear, enjoy our fear, be friends with it. As a friend, I would like to ask you, if you are okay with me making you my friend, I would like to know your past. I would like to know what all are your dreams, and I would want to know how are you feeling right now, isn't it? And then as we talk about past and future, and as we do things together in the present, we become friends. So if you have a trauma in the past, obviously you are there with the past. Then I would not talk about the past. That means you are there in the past. Then I will talk about the present and the future. I don't want to increase what you have. I want to overlay other layers, much like how my dad did it. He didn't talk about the worry part. Right, so I'm again disclaiming, I'm not trying to put this as a or propagate this as a method. I'm just giving this as an example of how we can understand fear, and we can use anything that comes to our mind, any which way we want to understand something, and then see how we can bring other aspects of it. And at any point of time when we are doing this, there isn't a desire to solve it. There isn't a desire to even take out of it. There's only a desire to present more perspectives, to offer, to invite the child, or in my dad's case, to invite my mother to collect some other information, some other data, or some other perspective into the whole thing. Are you with me? So that's the attempt, and that is what to me is understanding. So I'm trying to, through this example, trying to bring about what do I mean by understanding, right? I'm just trying to bring in more perspective into my fear. If I've been seeing it from let's say a present perspective, I can shift the perspective, and that is one way of understanding something. When we have multiple perspectives into something, which is why I was also giving you another example where I asked, let's interview others, let's find out what people think about not the fear, but the content of the fear. So if somebody is fearful of surfing, I will ask them to talk about surfing, not about the act of jumping on the board, which was the fear that the child had. So it's about collecting more and more perspectives, and from acceptance now I start build understanding, and now maybe I can use both together to do something that I want to do with the fear. The strategy has to be mine. Yes, Amit, I think that's very, very important. uh, if if we believe that we have to help, uh, then we try to help the child out of the fear. But another way to look at is to say, I can't help the child to come out of the fear. That is the child's job. But I can create a space which will help, or I can create a relationship which will help the child to cope with it. So I'm not really going to cope with, kind of bail him out, pull him out of the, right, you can say, the well. I'm not going to pull him out. He has to climb out himself, but I can create that kind of a space there. Okay, so just as a list, I know most of this is nothing new, but I'm still putting up some list on this on the screen, uh, and at least I'm sure some of them. Uh, Prepare is such an important one, which we don't take care a lot of times. We don't solicit their solutions. What would you like to do? Even if the child says, I don't know, what would I like to do? We don't prepare, we don't talk about it, read about it, see some 100 times, um, you know, let's say videos about it or whatever. Okay. Um, Let me talk about anchoring, start stop for one minute. If you're not familiar with these concepts, anchoring is when I use a previous experience to anchor my future experiences. So if at some point I have been, let's say, successful, or if I have been if I've achieved something, or I've gone, I've kind of done something, and it could be in any other field, not necessarily in this field. Then I can use that feeling of being able to do something to anchor, and then use that anchor in this feeling. I'm not obviously going into too much details. You can Google for it, how to anchor for, fears and so on and so forth. Uh, so anchoring is basically using a previous achievement, or a feeling, a strong feeling that you have, which you have had previously, to take care of future scenarios. So you kind of copy pasting your own past to your future. That's what is anchoring. It's also called modeling, though there are subtle differences between the two, but you can group them together, anchoring and modeling, where you use your own past to model your future. Yeah. Then there's something called as simple as start and stop, which says that if you want me to stop something, you got me to start something. So if you say to me that stop being afraid of something, then that's not sufficient, because if you say stop thinking about ghosts, for example, then can I stop it? No, because when you say stop thinking about ghosts, I end up thinking more about ghosts. So if you really want me to stop thinking about ghosts, you need to give me something else to start thinking about. And which is not again diversion in the sense of something totally different. But if I start thinking other aspects of this, then I will stop thinking of the aspect which was troubling me. So which goes back to our understanding that. So we can, when we are understanding, we can see what we need to stop and not too much worry about what we need to stop, but quickly move on to what we can start uh, thinking about, reading about, discussing about, and so on. Chunking is when we break down a bigger task into a smaller task, um, so that it's like one step at a time. It's like if I'm afraid of dogs, if you tell me straight away to go and pat the dog, it won't work. But if I say, okay, you can stay here, then maybe tomorrow you can be one step closer, then two step closer, then three step closer. That's kind of chunking. So we are going slowly, one step at a time, not like I have to overcome it in day one only. Yeah. Um, this is incidentally anchor, stop, start, chunking. All three are used a lot in sports. Somebody mentioned about sports. So these three are obviously. I'm not excluding preparation. Meaning that goes without saying. Um, Giving control and express is actually more to do with acceptance, where you actually let the child decide first of all whether the child even wants to overcome it, or is kind of or wants to even deal with the fear. Why not the child just accept it? It's like, we if you make a biodata of yourself, you would write, what qualifications you have, what experience you have, what strengths you have. I think all biodata should have a column what fears you have. Maybe they should even include it in passports and Aadhaar cards and stuff like that. Then I can just write whatever I'm afraid of, and once I've written them down and it's part of my this that okay, these are my whatever, these are part of me, then I can possibly do away with it also. um, uh, so that's the whole option of giving control, which really helps, which kind of empowers the child. And finally, we talk about expressing their thoughts, expressing our thoughts, feelings, expressing through drawing, through writing, through role playing. I think we should have. I should have somewhere a list of. Okay, so I have slides on each one, which you can look through once. I'm trying to see where do I have a slide for expressing. Right. So again, most of the time we just do this verbally when we talk about expressing about our fears or understanding, but we don't draw fears, we don't play, we don't make little cartoons out of it, we don't do role playing, we don't do video recording of our thoughts and so on. We don't write articles about our. So if your, let's say, older son and daughter, you say I have an 15-year-old who's afraid of this, okay, get her to write about it, write an article, these are my fears. She doesn't need to send it to anybody, she doesn't need to publish it anywhere, she just needs to write it, and let's see what it does to her. I'm not saying that will bring her out of the fear. Remember, we're not, all of this is not to bring it out of the fear, but to understand, to put down the thoughts, because most of the time we are just feeling it. We are not putting it somewhere. Okay, so I think, yeah, more or less have kind of finished what I wanted to share. Uh, the presentation has individual on all of those strategies. If you want to read about it, I'll be posting that to you. Ah, where are we? We're at 11 o'clock. So I was afraid that we will overshoot this, but good, we are more or less in time. Uh, Quick thoughts anybody wants to share something? Uh, I'm sure there's still a lot of questions in your mind, which is good. My idea was not to answer your questions, but more to understand fears. and understand what are we doing about it. So maybe to that extent, maybe the title of the workshop was little, marketing wise sleazy, kind of just attracting you to it. But I'm not really talking about how to cope with fear. I don't even believe we need to cope with fears. I think we need to kiss our fears. So the title should be helping children kiss their fears and hug them and embrace them and enjoy them. Yeah. Thank you from my side. If you have any thoughts, you can share in the chat. You can, if you want, somebody wants to say something, you can also come on mic. So we are kind of, in terms of time, pretty much done. Otherwise, we can call it a good night.